everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the Data Dojo podcast. Today, I not only have one but two very special guests, Sai and Natalie. I've known both of them and followed their journey for a couple of years now. To introduce Sai, I've talked to him. He's an amazing content creator. He started his journey as a data analyst at Blue Cross Blue Shield, so healthcare background similar to my journey. And he's pivoted to become one of the most influential data content creators on LinkedIn with over, I don't know, 190K followers now. He also has a newsletter called The Data Hustle, and he's been very active in promoting and educating immigrants and people who are trying to find a job. Really insightful tips and tricks that we learn from him. So, Sai, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Swagata, for having me and for giving me this amazing opportunity to be on your podcast.
Thank you. Also, I have Natalie, and I have known her also for a while now. She is a community builder, an amazing advocate for women in tech. So, kudos to that. She also started her own accelerator called Funding Breakthrough Lab, which we'll dive deep into and understand a little bit deeper. And thank you, Natalie, for being here. She's also a coach and she's been wearing multiple hats. We'll dive into each of those today. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and pleasure being here with Sai. I'm also very curious how he got the all his followers, and if there's any tricks you can
Yeah,
share.
yeah. Cool. Awesome. So, yeah, we'll get started. And the first question that I have for both of you is, given your interdisciplinary background, like you started as, I mean, Sai, for you, you started as, a data analyst, and then you pivoted to content creation, and you have a newsletter, and you do so many events and speaking opportunities. So you're more of the tech data content creator now. So I'm curious to know, like, share us about your journey and how you pivoted and how you balance both these roles. And then we'll talk to Natalie about the same.
Yeah, that's a good question. So good question to start with. I pivoted into data science almost 4 years ago when I came to United States to pursue my master's in data science, and then graduated in May 2023 and started working as a lead data analyst at Blue Cross since then. And coming to content creation side of things, it's gonna be 2 years next month, so I'm excited for that mark. I started in September 2023, so it's gonna be 2 years next year, next month. And when I started, it was an accident. I didn't want to be a content creator or an influencer, whatever the term is. It happened. I started by an accident, and then I found the value, the opportunities that got because of the content creation, and then I kept doing it. And with consistency, time, and efforts, providing quality content, I got in through multiple opportunities. But once I started creating the content around data analytics, data science, job search, I became the person who turns hard ideas into simple steps and breaking them into smaller chunks that audience can connect and then relate to, so they can save, share, and then implement at their work or during their job search. That change how I lead and teach as well. So I have one clear goal, like I pick a small technical aspect of SQL, Python, or stats or ML, whatever it is, and then break it down into different chunks so they can understand. And how do I balance both of these? When I started, it was too overwhelming. There were days when I got burnt out as well. But later on, I figured out that I had to be organized, structured. So from then, I started scheduling all my posts. So during my weekends, I block 5 to 7 hours of my time, and then I write 7 posts, 5 posts, or 10 posts depending on the content I have and then ideas that I have, and I schedule it for the rest of the week. So during the weekdays, I only engage with other creators' posts or other posts that I find on my feed that I have add value to my audience. So since then, I think it's been almost 1.5 years since I've started doing this, having good systems. And since then, I've had good work-life balance. But before then, when I was starting out, it was too overwhelming, spending 20 hours per week on just LinkedIn content creation or connecting one-on-ones, mentorship, and other stuff. But right now, I think since I've understood the game pretty well comparatively, I would say I have better work-life balance right now. And coming to newsletter, I write one newsletter per week, which is gonna take like 2 to 4 hours, anywhere between 2 to 4 hours, and it's been doing great too. It's gonna be 6 months next year. It's around 16K subscribers right now. But having those systems built, scheduling your work, being organized, and if you can outsource any part of your work, outsource it. That's what I would say if anyone were to start out from scratch. So I learned it the hard way. So these are things that I would say help me balance my work and then content creation and also having fun during weekends.
That is awesome. Like having a routine and scheduling content. Like I learned that from you and I've started doing that. It saves a ton of time during the week. So yeah, kudos to you. Natalie, coming to you. So you started with being a coach to now you've started your own accelerator. Walk us through your journey and also how you wear all these different hats and how do you balance everything?
Yeah, I mean, so I've always been someone who loved learning. So I definitely have a lot of different backgrounds. Like I actually studied finance and business, and then I realized I wanted to be more hands-on because I considered myself creative, and so I ended up doing computer science. But I still liked marketing, so still took marketing courses as well, and ended up working as a software engineer in the last 10 years here in the Bay Area. So everything from big companies, I'm often very consumer facing. So it was the Gap, to a diagramming tool that plugged into Jira, to it was like the first robotics restaurant here in San Francisco,
Wow.
Creator. And then I ended up working as an engineer manager at an IoT scent diffuser out in Utah called Pura. And then I ended up trying to do my own startup. And so I thought, like, hey, I've worked at startups, how hard could it be? I would always want to be entrepreneurial. And so, ended up doing and building my own startup. And then I quickly realized there's this huge gap of like what you need to learn when you start from 0 to 1 as a founder. Like, if you want to go fundraise, when do you do it? Should you spend time doing your pitch deck? Should you be building your product? And so there was so much to learn and so much to do. And that's kind of where I noticed like a lot of founders actually also struggle with the same problem. And another thing was that there wasn't a really big female founder community here in the Bay Area yet. And so at that time, I had been volunteering with Girls in Tech. My friend had wanted to launch Women's Founders Bay, so we ended up co-hosting her first event. And eventually, unfortunately, Girls in Tech shut down worldwide. We joined Teams. And after doing that for a bit and me really realizing that gap, I ended up launching Funding Breakthrough Lab. Yeah.
That is awesome because when I think I met you or heard you or Mariam, like there's only 2% funding that goes to women entrepreneurs. It was very disheartening to know, even in Bay Area. So kudos to you guys because you have been, I think I recently read that it has increased to like 10% or maybe I don't know the statistics, but it has definitely gone up and there is more awareness. And I see so many women entrepreneurs now joining, thanks to your community and your voice. So yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Awesome. I want to ask you both now that you're trying to, you're doing a newsletter site and you're building a accelerator. And with the rise of AI and Gen AI tools, it's really hard to sell something because people have this mindset that, I might do it myself, right? Like, how do you need to provide, I guess, 10x more value than before the pre-Gen AI era. So how do you have any strategies or how do you convince people to buy whatever you're building? To
I
Yeah.
start
think
with Sai.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking, I mean, like one of them is actually teaching them how to use tooling. So we do a cursor workshop. So if you're at the forefront of helping people learn the tooling, I think that's one way. But yeah, I think with any sales problem, I think it's you just have to be better at marketing, like showing your value proposition. So I think the bar for getting out there is much higher. Like designs have to be nicer. Your messaging has to be clearer. You have to be more authentic. Like people have to resonate with you more. So I think it used to be like, hey, if people trust you as a brand, you look trustworthy, like, then you can sell. But now people want to align with values. They want to trust you as a person. So it's just, you need a lot more, I feel like, connection with your audience before you're able to sell to them now. Yeah.
Sounds like personal branding and is very important today.
Um, yeah.
I think on my thoughts, I think she has covered most of it. Just to add on top of that, I think as you mentioned, personal branding and visibility do matter. And then showing your audience that you have done that before and then you can do it again, showing the proof of work, having those testimonials really do stand out. While I don't have a product to sell, but have helped my other creators friends sell their products in terms of the subscription model or in terms of their ebooks or whatever it is. So what I have found them is like having your own personal brand. Let's say it comes from a person who works at Microsoft or who has been a senior or a leader in the field for almost 10 years. Having that authenticity helps the audience to understand what the value that they're getting into, and obviously stating it upfront, like what is it, the impact of this program or this accelerator, how you are right now, how you're gonna be by the time you graduate or you learn from this cohort. So showing them the value and then showing them proof of work and then having that experience of doing it before and then teaching the audience that they can do it as well. I think these are the small things that can have major impact.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. And I think one thing to add on my learning with content creation is that I think when you make your audience part of your journey, like let's say you're a founder and you build in public and share your learnings and your failures, or if you're a data analyst or data scientist, you share like this is what I used to do and this didn't work for me and I'm doing this and now this has worked for me. To having that transparency in your learning and your failures, especially, that actually makes your audience engage more with you and connect with you more.
Exactly.
Awesome. So, since this is a data podcast, I had to ask a data question for sure. So, let's talk about the what kind of data-driven coaching that you both do. So, Sai, you guide people on data-backed resume optimization, job hunt strategies, and Natalie, you coach founders and executives. Are there any, how do you integrate like quantitative insights or any analytic or data that you use in conceptualizing your content for your coaching or for your newsletter, your content?
Yeah. When I usually don't coach people. Once in a while, I do coachings on one-on-one sessions when the audience require it for sure. So what I ask them to treat it is like a funnel process, like we do how we do at different parts of the products. So at the top, you can have like number of applications or number of connection requests that you have sent. At the bottom, you will have number of offers you have received or number of final interviews that you have done, and then ask them to see where there's the biggest drop and then work on it. So usually that's how we work in the industry as well. We find the biggest drop and then we find opportunities to make most out of it. So that's what I usually recommend to every mentee of mine. And also when it comes to resume or LinkedIn optimization, trying out different headlines. We call it A/B testing. So A/B test your connection request messages, A/B test your headlines, A/B test your resume for same role and different companies with similar, with same job description. Try out different resumes and then cold emailing, cold message, different subject lines. So see what works the best and then replicate it when you have enough data to conclude that this is the process that can work in long time. So these are like a few decisions that I do in terms of data. And coming to my LinkedIn content creation, it's always backed by data. LinkedIn gives us few analytics on impressions, engagement. So I have my own personal dashboard that I built for myself with the LinkedIn, with the data that was given by LinkedIn. And then I track all my metrics like what's working the best, what's not working, what time works the best, what type of content, what type of hook. And then I make sure to replicate them with the time. And then I think data is the best thing. I mean, when you have more data, you know what to do, what not to do, how not to do. And then, you know, when what's working, you need to do it again and again to make the most out of the uh, insights that you have found from your dashboard or from your journey or data that you have.
I would pretty much agree with everything Sai said. I think he's further along in like tracking data. But from what I've learned, with sales, it's all about creating your funnel, tracking your funnels, outreach, response, conversion rates, and then also like just hosting events. You kind of get just averages after a while. You see like free events, usually a third of people show up. Paid events, two-thirds show up. And so you just kind of see patterns over time. And then within coaching, I mean, I feel like coaching is a lot more of an art. By trying to use some numbers to like gauge, like it could be your emotion level. So maybe something's very triggering, getting them to quantify that. So then if you go through a process and then ask them how they feel after, having that number difference really shows like, was there a change or not? Because when it comes to things with our emotions, it's very easy to like change our perception. And so using numbers in that instance can also help just quantify things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Sai, I would definitely want to know how you create your own personal dashboard from LinkedIn. I think that'll be useful for our audience as well. Yeah. Moving to the next question, I want to ask you both since you have kind of a multidisciplinary background and same as I'm seeing a lot of people not seeing the value in the education system. Not that now the dropouts have become cooler with all these 18-year-old founders. So, but I feel like education is very important and what you study, even if you study finance and then you end up doing something completely different, it does shape you in a way. Maybe it teaches you discipline or some skills that show up much later in your life. So for both of you having, finance and I think computer science for you, Natalie, or marketing, and Sai for you, computer science, pivoting to content creation, like bunch of things. So how has your fundamental education background impacted you, and do you see the value of it?
I mean, I think education gives you confidence in some sense, like that you have this knowledge base that you can always refer to. And then I think one of the things I learned is like networks. Like education is really providing you with a network. But I do think there is going to be a shift because I think there's a lot of places you can get network now, and it won't cost as much as a university education. So if you're able to show your value elsewhere, like I think a lot of people are more open to people who are outgoing and doing and building and getting real life experience. And I think with all this AI technology making it easier for people to build that, I think we'll see a lot more of that. And so, yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
I think she has covered it beautifully, but one thing that I would add is where I mean there might be only point not 1% of people who are dropouts. There are those becomes like outliers. The rest of them will fall under 99.9% of them, like which most of us will be like us coming from non-traditional background. So for us, education is very important when it comes to when they give us structured learning and then structured path to where you wanna see. But then, as Natalie mentioned, it might not be required within few years, where there are amazing boot camps and cohorts that can teach you the same for lesser cost. But I would highly recommend if someone were to start out, get into that, and then see if it works or not, works out or not. And then if it works out, works out. If it doesn't work out, there's always a way to drop out. But then make sure to have solid plan when you drop out or graduate, so that you can replicate. I mean, you can move forward with it. But I think it has shaped in many ways in terms of how we think. Getting that path from our professors or working on those academic projects, learning from the people who have been there, done that before in the industry for like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and then they move to academia to teach the graduate students or undergraduate students. So I think that part will be missing in cohorts or other programs that the outliers can choose. So I
Yeah.
think that's one missing part. But then if they can fill the gap, it's going to be great. But then for most of us fall in the non-traditional path, so filling that gap might be difficult.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah, I mean, taking a calculated risk makes sense. Awesome. I guess I have one last question before we move to the lightning round. And I know, Sai, you touched upon it a little bit with how you track your analytics, but I'm curious to know, besides data, do you both have any way of assessing the impact of your work? It could be, for me, it's like if one of my mentees messages me on LinkedIn or somewhere, like, I learned so much from you and it impacted me positively and I got a job or something. Are there ways that you have to assess the impact of your work?
For me, I think that's the first thing, as you mentioned, the comments that we get, the messages that we get in our LinkedIn DM box saying that I've got the interview, or I've got the job, or I got promoted, I got this interview call. So I was able to negotiate my salary to 20% higher. These are the messages that keeps us moving, that keeps us motivated to do more of what we do. And also, whenever I've been experiencing this lately, whenever we go to in-person networking events or conferences, when people recognize you and then come say hi, that have been following you for 1 year, 6 months, 2 months, 2 years. And then this has helped me getting into internship. Last week I was in Bay Area. I was there for a few meetups and then one of the conferences. This happened. A lot of people came to me, told, wished me hi, and then they have been telling those. When we hear those, that we have been making positive impact in people's lives in terms of just keeping them motivated, or getting them more interview calls, or making them prepare for the interviews. So I think these are the things that can't be measured by numbers, but then we just need to hear it
Mm.
from actual people. That makes a lot of difference. And then more than the numbers, I think these are the things that keep me moving to do what I'm doing at 10x.
Yeah, I would say the same. It's pretty much like hearing the response testimonials from people and how much it impacted them. Just seeing their own transformation is highly rewarding. And so, yeah, even with this coming cohort, like Anya loved it so much. She came and like even helped me with our website, just to like make sure that this continues and goes on. So that type of feedback is great.
Yeah, it is priceless. Yeah. What keeps you going? All right, awesome. Thank you. Those were all my main questions. And let's move on to the lightning round. So you won't have time to think, so you have to answer really fast. And whatever comes to your mind, just say it. Okay? So we'll start. I'll ask a question and then we'll follow the order. Sai goes first and then Natalie. So, Natalie, you have a little bit of advantage. Cool. The first question. One principle from your academic education that still shapes your work today.
Start with outcome and then learn fast.
Give and take. Givers, while they might start off as like slower, if they're strategic, they actually are more successful.
Yeah, love that. Next question. Sai, one LinkedIn influencer you admire?
Aishwarya Srinivasan have been following for almost 3 years. She has started from scratch, a fellow immigrant. So
Yeah,
she was one of the reasons that I've started creating content as well.
yeah. I like her content too. Natalie, what about you?
Ooh. I feel like, um, I mean, I actually feel like technically, because I saw the growth of Marianne and how she really leveraged LinkedIn, that was like a learning for me since we were at similar stages. So yeah.
Marian, yeah, for sure. Your favorite AI tool or technique for quick insights?
Quick insights, I would say Julius AI. It has been really helpful. And in other tools, I like Gamma. I think it makes
Yeah,
the presentation.
the PPT one, right? Yeah.
It's the PPT one. I have used it for, I mean, I've been using it for almost 1 year at my work as well, and even for my other sessions outside work. So it's been game changer.
Awesome.
I really like Perplexity just because you have the references for things.
Mm.
I mean, Cursor has been very popular for our workshops. And then recently I've been playing with Descript for like
Yeah,
if you're uploading videos, the text editing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's awesome. One common resume for you, Sai, and maybe startup profile for you, Natalie, that mistake that you see and that you can address fast.
Impact, people mostly focus on what they did, but not impact of what they have done. So that's one mistake that I see almost in every resume.
Like adding more quantitative, like,
Yeah, it's like I use SQL to build this dashboard or Power BI to build this dashboard, but how has it helped business in terms of getting them more money or saving the loss or reducing the loss? How has it helped the business?
what about you?
Sorry, is mistake in resumes
Not
or?
in resume for you, maybe like founders who come to you and there's like not having product market fit or like some obvious mistakes or, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of founders focus too much on the problem, but they haven't figured out the business model. I think they're like maybe sometimes also wanting to work with cool tech. And so then the viability of the product hasn't been thought through. And through pitching and actually getting real feedback from people in the industry, that concept kind of is internalized. And then they realize like you need to build something that is scalable.
Mm, awesome. Good advice. What is the most surprising question you've been asked as a mentor, coach, by your mentee or anybody you're coaching?
Mm, I remember one of them asked like, if your projects on your resume vanished tomorrow, how long would it take for you to do them again? Would you do it faster or slower? Would you do it anything differently?
Oh, that's funny. What was your answer?
I think for my work projects, I did mention that since I know the bottlenecks where I've taken most of the time, I told them like I could do it faster and efficiently. I mean, I think we learn from our mistakes. So at
Yeah,
every project, we know where the data is missing or where we need to impute and everything. Once we know where the mistake is, it's only gonna get faster and efficient.
yeah.
Mm.
What about you, Natalie? Any surprising questions thrown at you?
Um, not that not nothing that like comes to mind that I feel like, is sticking to me. So sorry. No
What's the
interesting.
most common question that you're asked?
I mean, I think in general, people are just um want like feedback for around like their idea. Like,
Mm,
yeah, there's nothing like super exciting. Yeah. But I think for me, they're coming to coaching sometimes with the idea of consulting. And that's kind of where I'm like, I'm not trying to impart information on you. You can get mentors and I can share some, but I want to like coach where it's helping you internalize and have you come to the
right.
answers. And so that's the part where I feel like, and I think people have different definitions of coaching, but I'm really about like helping you come to the answers so that you trust yourself and your intuition.
Yeah, that's fair. Awesome. Any podcast or book that has changed your views on leadership, or any book or podcast or content that you expect everybody to read or listen to?
Uh, I've been reading the compound effect lately, so it's been amazing. So everything that you do compounds with time, efforts, and the quality of work. So I've been reading it lately, and then I would highly recommend everyone to give it a try. So you would know the impact of, small things over time, doing it consistently. How is that going to impact anything, be it content creation or at work, you upskilling on anything. So do it. Do smaller. Do it small, like do small things, but then do it over time
Hmm.
continuously, so it makes a difference within 6 months, 1 year. So uh, that's one biggest takeaway from the compounding effect
Uh,
book.
okay.
I've been going to this psychology book reading club. So I feel like all the psychology books are giving so much insight. So some of them was It Didn't Start With You, which is about generational trauma.
Hmm.
And a really interesting thing was like there was this study on rats where they put cherry blossoms and like kind of electrocuted them. And
Wow.
the generation after who had no prior history to being electrocuted, when they would smell this cherry blossom smell, they would also get agitated or irritated. So they like checked that the RNA in the sperm actually had a mutation after the fact. So trauma is
It passed
generational.
down.
It's
I
passed
see.
down genetically. And so why we think like, oh, it seems very like abstract.
Hmm. So
Fear
generational
gets
trauma is a real thing.
programmed down. Yeah. And so things like that I think are super interesting about learning about yourself and yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. Cool. You guys do so many things. Any productivity hack that you can share? I think Sai, you touched upon it a little bit, being consistent, but anything to stay super productive with so many distractions?
One thing that has helped me a lot is adding everything to your calendar and then block your time, be it watching a movie or going out or upskilling or scheduling or whatever it is. Add it to your calendar. You don't have to follow it. Most of the times you would follow it, but then there can be times, exceptional exceptions, edge cases again. So 90% of the time that I have, from my experience and from my data, I've followed it almost 90% of the times, and then it has saved a lot of time in terms of completing the work faster, being efficient. And putting your mobile away for when you're blocking your calendar. That's one
Yeah,
productivity tip that I use. I use it to use Instagram a lot. Even I use it right now, but then the amount of time that I use has dropped
reduced.
drastically. So blocking your calendar, block your, like, say, focus hours, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and then take 5 to 10 minute break after that, and then get back to work again.
Mhm.
Awesome. Natalie, what about you?
Yeah, calendar blocking definitely. And so even like blocking out time. So I try to like pre-block my Monday, Fridays, and then let like, meeting calendars just happen naturally in the middle of the week. This way, like if there's important meetings, I know I could still fit them in, and then else not like I have time to like do work if that didn't happen. I also have a dog that makes me go outside
Yeah.
because I feel like it's very easy to just like get into this work mode, but then if you do it, too much, you're going to burn yourself out, and it's not as productive in the long run. So, giving yourself grace, making sure you take that downtime, I
Mm.
think is super important. Um,
Awesome. That's great advice. One last question before we wrap up. Are we in an AI bubble and it's going to burst soon?
I mean, I think there's an AI hype. So, and I felt like there was also recent articles that, like we cannot sustain what they're building. Like even the money going in doesn't make economical sense
Mm.
because the AI companies are actually paying out more than they're actually even getting in. And then our data centers cannot support it. So I think there is some sort of, I guess, like,
Hype.
bubble. Yeah, there's a hype. And so we'll see what comes of it.
What about you, Sai?
Yeah, I think the hype is real. The amount of money they generate is comparatively less than amount of money that they spend on ads or burning the data centers. So I think the hype is real for sure, but we might also be in bubble. I think Sam Altman also a few days back he recently mentioned one of his podcast that we might be in a bubble, if I'm not wrong. But I think we are in that.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing all these insights. I'm sure the audience will find it very valuable. Before parting, is there anything you would like to share?
There's one thing that I like to share with audience for anyone in data or job search or anything. It's not just about what you know, but who you know and who knows you matter a lot. So I would say highly focus on networking, be it in job search or if you're upskilling or if you want to get promoted from mid to senior levels, focus on networking.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think also focus on like seeing if you could provide values for others. So if you're out networking, maybe if you see people that like could make a good connection, you helping them makes them memorable and grateful for you, and therefore they're willing. So the idea of that give and take, if you give, you're gonna get back. And so I think that's super important. And then second, I think it's just like going out there and doing stuff. I
Yeah.
think when you actually are in the action of things, you'll figure out actually what your strengths are and where you stand out most and what you like to do the most. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. That is great advice. Thank you so much, both. Thank you for your time. And yeah, good luck.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
having
much.